All right, and we're rolling.
Good afternoon. My name is Heather Rossi, and today I'm going to talk to you about my design concept for Our Town, written by Thornton Wilder. In this short presentation, I will talk to you about how my design concept correlates with the human condition, how I came about my research for lighting, costumes, and setting, and how it informed my concept, how I employed my design research and concept into my design, and how my design answers challenges to the production. Okay, so let's start with my design concept. My concept started with what I believe about the human condition. Number one, that we are often in the dark about what is right in front of us. And number two, that many view life as a circle or as something eternal, with many people watching over us. I want to start with the first point, that we are constantly in the dark. In our town and in my own daily life, life is constantly full steam ahead. Work, upcoming projects and tests, grad school, finals, they all propel us ahead. An X or a mistake that we made weeks ago, or maybe even a poor test grade, pulls us into the past. This same ebb and flow between the past and the future is seen as our town as well. George talks about how he wants to be a farmer someday. Miss Webb says she can remember Emily sitting at the breakfast table before marriage. And Mr. Gibbs talks about how his father used to be. In both conditions, fictional and non-fictional, the idea that life is merely a stepping stone is taken too far. We never take the time to focus on what is right in front of us. Therefore, I employed my design research and this universal concept in my design by having the set, lighting, and costumes express this idea of being in the dark to the present. For costumes, I used dark grays for all the people, except for Emily when I use all white in the death scene. Lighting is dark grays and whites, and scenery is grays and whites except for the tables and the chairs, which are a minimalistic wood finish. In order to break from the rather monochromatic, and in order to showcase experiences that have happened to us, that we are oftentimes not aware of, color was used. Green for Emily and blue for George. This was also mimicked in the lighting. The color choices were actually created by thinking back to past productions for my preliminary research. I thought about how I loved Fiona White in her green dress in Eurydice, especially in contrast to the dark lighting. Therefore, pairing with that initial research, I was then able to pair that particular color with the idea that that color should show the addition of experiences within the human condition. The same was true for George. George wears bright blue. I researched many different colors and found that bright blue would look best with the dark background, alongside the green. With that, I started looking up dark 1900s costumes to fit the time period, and that led to Emily being gray with green and George being gray with blue. I then started looking at this idea that life is eternal, and this idea of people watching over us. Many people believe in a higher power, this idea of angels, or even this idea of ghosts. The stage manager even comments on this phenomenon, saying that there are ancestors, millions of them, and they're watching over us every day. With this, I knew I wanted to incorporate it in my design. I wanted it to be minimalistic, and if I were to include this concept of people surrounding us, I wanted to keep it simple, not overbearing, and without much detail. I started Googling cartoonish faces, but nothing seemed to be appealing to me. Then I went to Starbucks, and I received the holiday cup with the faces all over it. My idea for how to create the faces with just the eyes and nose was actually created from my research at Starbucks. This just goes to show that creativity can be sparked anywhere. I also used images of faces, watercolor silhouettes, and pencil sketches to create the faces for the backdrop. I didn't want the faces in a bright color because that would distract from my overall concept of people being in the darkness. Instead, I wanted them to mimic the all-white color scheme I had for Emily's death scene. The white would symbolize the epitome of knowledge, the culmination of combining the past, the present, and the future. As far as the challenges of this production, oftentimes people believe that too much is the problem, but I found that too little can sometimes be the problem too. For my model box, you can see that it's very minimalistic. And for the costumes, they're not super elaborate. They're almost all gray. The lighting is also very simple, but this gave a focus on the text. Also, being true to the author, can be a problem for some people. The ladder scene needs to have the ladders because that's what Thornton Wilder would want, and my design reflects that. Wilder gives us a beautiful text, but it's up to the designer to figure out what we're going to do to pair with that text. I thoroughly enjoyed working on this product, and I hope that you found this presentation of Our Town enjoyable. Thank you.